First question, what is Tantra?
Yeah, that's you started with the hardest question.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sex with Kat and Mark. And this week, we're going to talk about everything to do with Tantra. So we're fortunate enough to have Timo. He's a tantric gigolo coach. You also teach people how to get into it, sex work yourself, and body work, I think, is another term that you might use.
Yep.
And I actually know Timo from a while back. He used to teach on our programs, teach our students. And one of the reasons really that inspired me to get into Tantra and explore some of the principles behind it. So really thankful to have Timo on. He's got a lot of insights and a lot of knowledge around Tantra. So yeah, I'm excited to have you. Welcome, bro.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. Hi.
Awesome. So I think the first question is going to be a very simple one, I think.
Yeah, I want to know.
What is Tantra?
I have no idea.
So, essentially, when we got into this, I was like, Kat, what is your knowledge around Tantra? She's like, I have no
nothing
fucking idea. So first question, what is Tantra?
Yeah, that's you started with the hardest question. I always give a different answer to this question. So if you ask 100 people that do Tantra, what Tantra is, you get 100 different answers. So I think it's safe to say that Tantra or tantric practice is a highly individual endeavor, and everybody does it, a bit differently. But overall, you can say Tantra is about intensity. And you can use sexual tension, but it's not necessarily just sex. So we use sexual tension because it's the most yummy way to do Tantra. But you could also use pain, boredom, disgust, anything that would kind of increase the intensity. So what happens then is, let's say you are extremely horny. You're extremely horny, and the horniness gets to a level of intensity where you just can't handle it anymore, and you keep there. You stay there for half an hour, for 1 hour, for 2 hours, for 3 hours, maybe a whole night. And at some point, your brain just gives out. It just breaks, and that is basically where we want to be, because that is where your conceptual mind, it just says like, well, you know what, guys, fuck you, I'm out of here. And everything you experience from that moment on is just the raw reality as it comes to you. And for me, that is the practice to get to that point where the intensity is so high, where you're so horny, where you have so much attraction to the other person, that you just, it's so hard to explain. It's like being in a trip. You just, everything comes to you in a very, very raw, unfiltered way, and you stay functional. You don't break down yourself. You just kind of like you experience what's going on in the moment, and just fully enjoy it, or fully show up in the moment. And this is also what makes Tantra very, very pleasurable to practice. So.
I think it's a really tough thing to describe, because I'm glad you answered that so well, because when I try to explain it, the only way I manage to is basically I tell people it's like the meditation of sex is the way I see it all the time, where it's, and by the way, if you look up Tantra, which Timo hopefully can go into some of the different types, because you can look it up and people talk about like white Tantra, black Tantra, neo Tantra. You guys are you work for a company called The New Tantra, which we'll ask about the difference with that in a second. But yeah, for me, it's very much around being in the moment during sex. Now, there's a lot of other principles, obviously, but to me, that's often how I see it. Is like the meditation of sex in a way, being very thoughtful in the moment around it.
The only time I've ever heard of anyone talking about Tantra before today was in American Pie, one of the characters is like meditating and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm practicing Tantra. So like when you do it well, you can have sex for like hours or like days.
Yeah.
He's like, and they're like, days. He's like, yeah, days.
Well, that's one of the
Sounds kind
principles.
of like what he was saying.
Exactly, right? Like, so that is one of the principles, right, Timo? It's very, it's not quick sex essentially, right? A lot of tantric principles around sex is like a long time, let's say.
Yeah. So there's many techniques that you can practice, doing Tantra, but overall, I think it's safe to say that Tantra is more of an attitude than it is a technique or a set of techniques. So it is basically saying yes to everything that arises, both within you and around you. But a very good way to start, and that's when you get to the American Pie bit, is by stopping the coming. So, a lot of us are quite focused on getting from point A to point B during sex, and point B being coming. In Tantra, we, at least the Tantra that I do, we remove the ejaculation, the coming from the whole equation. So, yes, that does mean that you are having sex for hours at an end, and at some point you just have to say, well, that was great. Let's just stop it here, and then you walk away with a hard on.
I love that. So, because I'm sure a lot of people are hearing this
And going, what?
and I can guarantee the first time I heard about this, I was like, you do what? Like, how now?
Don't come?
You're taking away the best part of sex from me? Is that what you're doing right now? But maybe we can go into some of the benefits of that, Timo. Like maybe what you experienced the first time you did this, and maybe we can talk about the 21-day challenge, but what do you find are the benefits of practicing not coming?
And I just also have to ask, do you come ever? Like, do you eventually come? How long do you wait for? I don't know if this is a whole different question, but now I'm curious because just like how long are you holding it? Is it like years? Forever?
Right.
Like what?
How many,
like, have you come this year?
How many years have you been practicing this for, Timo? Is what Kat wants to know.
I've been practicing the non-coming since 2012. So that's
Have you come at all since then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. So what
I had to clear that up. I'm sorry.
But this is one of the most tough practices that you can do as a guy, and I think for many women as well, but especially for the guys. You don't come, but you have sex every day, either with yourself or with a partner, and it's just incredibly frustrating at the start. You are so used to moving towards that point of no return and falling over it and just having your orgasm and then just be done with it. You clear your mind. You're no longer thinking of sex, and that's usually how it goes. But now you are thinking about sex the whole day. You're constantly horny. You feel attracted to everybody. At some point, just like in American Pie, you start, being attractive to plants. It's just, you are overflowing with horny energy after, let's say, 20, 30 days. You're just, you almost like lose your mind a bit, trying to conduct all this with this horny energy. And that is exactly where you want to be. It's a bit of a confusion. It's a bit of in the start it's frustrating, but at some point you'll learn to appreciate it, because it's a lot of energy. It's like having had a good cup of coffee in the morning. You're not depressed and you're not tired when you're horny.
Yeah, that's true.
The life's good when you're horny. So that's the idea. I've been trying to not come for as long as I can since 2012, but every now and then it happens, right? So you just you're having sex and all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, shit, and you just try to stop it, but it just happens. Also not a problem. I mean, it's not that serious, right? So you just let it happen. It's like, oh fuck, and then you just continue.
I'm curious, do you save your coming for like something special? Like, is there a special date or occasion, or if it's like, oh, this chick is like really hot, I'm gonna break my streak? I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, is there a pattern of when you allow yourself to like give in?
No, my practice is just to not do it ever.
Oh, okay.
And, and I've had some occasions where I was like, you know what, let's just try again how it is. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do it. Like consciously go like, let's just fully enjoy it. And then yes, it's very pleasurable. The problem with it is, as I see it, especially when doing this practice, it's so fucking short. It's like 5-10 seconds, you know, if you're really lucky, it lasts about 20 seconds. And then, you know, all this effort you put into, you know, making this date with this person, getting together, taking, you know, half a day off, and just all this anticipation and enjoyment, and it's done right there. You know, you come, and not even half a minute later, you're thinking about checking your emails and maybe, you know, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? And so that's, for me, it's very clear. Like this is the payoff of not coming, is that you can keep going for as long as you like, and it will be enjoyable for that entire period. So.
Yeah, Timo actually got me into this.
Does it actually make you last longer if you go, like, let's just say you do like 1 month of no coming in the next month? Because I'm really confused how if you like, let's just say, is it wanking every day? Is that, and then not coming? Is that what builds it?
Yeah, exactly. You're either masturbating or fucking every single day,
and then not coming. So it can make you just learn to just not do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for a lot of guys, this is
wow.
really, really hard. Huh?
So that's why you can have sex for like days. Yeah.
Kat suddenly loves Tantra. She's like, I like the.
I'm suddenly thinking I might need to make a pit stop where he is when I go to Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's gold. Yeah, but I think Timo got me into this years ago now, and yeah, I think as a guy, it is a very difficult thing to actually get in the habit of. But I think like every other habit, once you start to see the benefits, once you get used to it, then you're like, fuck, I could never go back. And it's the same idea as I'm less strict than Timo. I think, you know, I probably don't have as good, like for me, it's, I do the no coming and then I will. The question around like certain people, like sometimes I'll be like, fuck it. I feel the need to, and I'm less relaxed about it. And I'm kind of happy to do that. But I agree. You have this energy and you have more focus on the goal. You enjoy the moment a little bit more. You can last longer. You're training yourself to do that. But I think for me, I don't know about you, Timo, but for me, the biggest advantage, or the thing that I like most about it, is that I moved away from what Timo spoke about, that 10 seconds of pleasure. And sometimes when you, like, if you're not that sensitive and finding it tough to come, suddenly you're not enjoying sex in that moment. Because all you're thinking about is, I'm just trying to fucking come. And you're just not getting there and you're frustrated. Whereas now it's like a switch in attitude and mindset where every thrust just feels good, right? Everything just feels amazing, and you're not focused on that end goal, let's say. But I don't know about you, Timo. What do you think is the biggest thing you've taken from it?
So what really struck me was the feedback that I've been getting from my partners, from the women I've been interacting with, and especially at the start, the feedback I got is women telling me like, hey, I can tell you are not focusing on getting somewhere. You don't have a preconceived plan where you want to go from point A to B and like do a little bit of thinking here and then blah, 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 and then, you know, finish. And the thing about that is there's room for magic. There's room for something amazing, artful to happen. If you let go of all your plans, also the having to come at the end. So there's this relaxation behind the tantric way of having sex that really opens up women. So that's the feedback that I got, especially at the start. Like, hey, you really changed from trying to get something from me to just being here with me, and so just being present with me and just having fun. And things became very very playful and innocent and kind of you know, when you first discovered sex as a maybe a young teenager, for me at least, it was very, well, I would say innocent and playful, and it was full of adventure and magic, and you know, and somewhere along the way you lose it. I mean, I think that's true for many people. For me, it was at least, you know, you watch a lot of porn, and at some point you know, you think you have some tricks in the bedroom, and then you always do those tricks, and then, you know, you copy those tricks, and then it becomes a copy of a copy, and a copy of a copy of a copy, and at some point the magic's gone, and you're just performing. You know, like you said, you're just, you know, you're trying to come, you're trying to maybe visualize something really horny that you see in pornography while you are with your partner, you know, closing your eyes, thinking about that hot threesome you saw on Bang Bus or something. So, you know, that's a problem, I would say, if you have to kind of disconnect from your partner to be able to function. So that was really turnaround. And for me, I mean, it was pleasurable for my partners, but it was also very pleasurable for me to finally feel that magic again in bed during sex.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
You definitely can, as a girl, you definitely can tell when you're with a guy if he just wants to come versus if he's like trying to make like a meaningful experience. Like we can tell.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's a
we
feeling,
can tell. Yeah.
And what do you think about? I want to chat about women going through this practice, because I've only ever looked at this from. Don't look at me like that. I've only ever looked at this, taught this, thought about this, mostly through the guy's perspective, because that's who I'm speaking to most of the time. We got a cat here, right? So I'm curious. Is it similar benefits that women face? Like, how do women describe the experience of going through no peak orgasms?
Oh, sweating.
So that depends on the woman. So where most guys are a bit of a, you know, as a guy, if you have an ejaculation, you're usually done, especially when you're over 30 or so. Some guys, you know, they can come a few times and they stay functional, sorta. But usually men are done after one time. At least most of the focus is gone. Most of the juiciness is gone. This is, I guess it's true for most women, but not all women. There's quite a few women out there who are multi-orgasmic. So, you know, they get more horny when they come more often. The thing is, though, that in tantric sexuality, there's also something called a tantric orgasm, or deeper orgasm. And these orgasms are not obtainable if you still come on your clit as a woman. So if you are curious about having deeper orgasms, like a full body orgasm, for example, you might want to try and stay away from your clit and from coming for a while, and see how that works. So most of actually all of the people I practice Tantra with, the women, they stay away from clitoral orgasms. So, and the thing is, you don't really miss anything. It's not like, you know, that you take away the best part of sex. That's not how it feels when you're doing it, for sure.
Maybe we can have a chat about full body orgasms, because I think this is a lot of times when people think about Tantra, they immediately go to these benefits or these techniques, right? Which I know a lot of your teachings are, you know, staying away from that in a way where it's a lot about our attitude behind it, our mindsets behind it, being in the moment, experiencing it as it comes. But I think if people are Googling Tantra and seeing like full body orgasms, a lot of girls are like, okay, this looks fun. How do I get one of these? So what does it take to have a full body orgasm? Is it mostly training on the girl's part? What is the guy's role in this? If you can explain your experience with full body orgasms with women.
Yeah, there's a bit of a paradox here, and it is that full body orgasms are experienced when someone is totally surrendered and relaxed, which you are not when you are trying to obtain an orgasm, because then you're focusing, you're tensing, you're kind of, you're in your mind. So what happens very often is that people, they'll come into Tantra, they start chasing these orgasms, nothing happens. They get frustrated. They just totally let go of the whole idea of having a deeper orgasm, and boom, a few months later, they, all of a sudden they're just having a really good time with someone, and then it happens. So there is not one single trick to give someone a full body orgasm, and that is because it's mostly about surrender. And there, basically, I mean, you can, as a man, you can inspire the trust in someone for them to totally surrender to you. But it's not like this, if you squirt someone, for example, that's a very simple technique that you can teach to anyone. These deeper tantric orgasms, though, are more like, how do you say it? They're like a moment that you build together. And it's really hard to teach people to, let me put it like this. I'm a tantric gigolo, right? If I were able to give people full body orgasms each and every single time that I would do a session with them, I would be a millionaire right now. So it's something you just have to totally let go of, because it's not it's not a party trick.
And you mentioned surrender. Do you feel like polarity is important, like let's say is an ingredient or an aspect in creating these deeper orgasms?
Yeah, that's an immense it's a very big part of it. So you will always need to have some kind of polarity, even though, let's say you have two women both being very feminine, having sex together. In order to get anywhere with that, there still needs to be a bit of a, someone needs to take charge, and someone needs to surrender. And it's a lot of fun to play with that, and to kind of, one person goes into the leading and surrendering, and you switch, you flip the whole situation around, and it creates a lot of contrast. And I think that's what's needed, especially for tantric sexuality and surrender, and also very important for the deeper type of orgasm, is that you totally surrender to someone who's totally there for you, and kind of opens you up in a moment.
Amazing. Is this Kat? I can see Kat thinking, okay, I might have to get into Tantra. That's basically my goal. This is a Kat intervention to get you into Tantra.
No, I'm thinking I need to get with a guy who gets into Tantra. That's more what I was thinking. I want to have sex for days.
Yeah, fair. So if we look at the benefits, then we kind of spoke about potentially deeper orgasms, being in the moment more, enjoying more elements of sex, being able to last longer. Have you found any other benefits either within your own life or in your own sex life through the practice of Tantra?
A lot. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah.
Anywhere from having loads of energy, having focus, having drive, being able to lift more weight in the gym.
Really? I guess when you're like just all
you're horny. You're just sitting in the gym horny. Like I need to lift something.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a game changer. From being way more relaxed in life in general. Like if you're constantly kind of frustrated around sex, constantly thinking about sex, wanting sex, it doesn't really work. And I noticed that when I relaxed in my sexuality, and these tantric practices that we do in the workshops, they're quite confronting. You go into your shame, you go into the things that you're really scared of that other people will see. Your nakedness, your sexual kinks, everything. You show them to other people, you lift them out. It's incredibly liberating. And I notice the effects not just in my sex life, but everywhere else. So just the way I interact with people and the way I was kind of relax in life. There's just so many benefits to it. From having partners that come back, after having sex with them, it's not. You can get someone into your bed, but then how do you get them to come back after that, right? So.
Yeah, fucking all night and deep orgasms is the answer to that.
I'm curious. So you say you do like gigolo stuff as well. Do you do porn too, or is it just like gigolo stuff?
We made some tantric porn, yes.
So do you not come like when? So if you're like with a client, or if you're like doing porn or whatever, do you not come either?
Yeah, there's no money shot.
Interesting.
Yeah,
and. Sorry, go on, Timo.
No.
Yeah, and so with these workshops, because you mentioned about like exposing yourself, going through shame, I want to find out a little bit more about them, because I haven't done a workshop with you. I've got your course online and went through that, and it's super interesting. For anyone that's interested, we'll pop a link wherever you're watching this in the description. But I want to know what do the workshops involve, because I know they're a little bit more intense than people probably think about when it comes to a workshop, even around sex.
So we have a number of workshops. I'd say 1/3 of them are about sex, and the rest is about meditation, living your life's purpose, how to be a good man, how to be a good husband to your woman, how to be a good father to your kids. But then, of course, there is the sexual workshops, and those are the ones that people usually show up for to start with. What do you want to know about them? I mean, it's quite a lot.
Yeah, it is quite a lot, because essentially people are coming, and I want to know. Let's say the more extreme parts of these workshops, because people are getting essentially naked in front of each other, right?
Yeah. So is this like in-person workshops?
Yes.
What would happen in that?
Imagine a retreat center somewhere here in Holland, in a beautiful forest, where about, let's say, 50, 60 people meet up and have this workshop with a bunch of facilitators. And in about a week, you get taken by the hand. You get taken from where you are right now to a point where you are totally opened up and kind of, they call it sexual deconditioning. So you're kind of deconditioned from all your preconceived ideas about sexuality, like what are your preferences, what are your hang-ups around sex. So it looks like this. We start fully clothed, so the first weekend is actually clothes on, and we also make sure that it stays like that. So there's also no touching under clothes. There's no sexuality. There's no full-on sex in the workshop up until the end of that weekend. And that's also where we kind of scout and scope we look at everybody and see if they are ready for this, because it already gets quite intense there, and you can see people who are kind of maybe a bit unstable, or they bit off a bit more than they can chew. Mm-hmm. We give them their money back and we ask them to go home. And the people who swim and they don't sink, they get to go to level 2. So this was level 1. Level 2 is where we immediately take off the clothes, and from there on, it's 4 days of very physical practices.
So will guys practice on other guys?
Sorry?
So will guys practice on other guys? Like, is this just all guys, or is there girls here too?
No, this is about 50-50. So it's
right. So guys and girls.
Wow. We don't gender balance the workshops. We just kind of have a first come, first serve policy there. But usually it's around 50-50. And there you're free to do whatever you want in there as long as it's consensual. So if you are, let's say, I'll take myself as an example. I went in there and I was straight as an arrow, and my biggest fear was like, what if they make me do practices with other guys? What if I have to do an exercise with another man, or what if we instantly touch? I think that would be the most gay thing ever, and I would hate it. And then we went into it, and after a few days, I was just so relaxed and so out of my head. And at some point, we ended up in this big puddle, this big pile of people, and we were drenched in oil and just sliding all over each other. And there was a DJ in the corner, and he was playing some really nice deep house, and it was just the best party I've ever had. And it went on and on and on, and and all of a sudden I'm there, on top of two guys, just interacting with them, and just exploring their bodies, and I'm just like, I saw myself do it, and I totally loved it. And afterwards, I thought, what is this? Am I gay now? It was this huge mind fuck. And I was like, oh, fuck it, whatever. I don't care anymore. It's just like, you kind of get rid of all these how do you say, all these little restraints that you have in your mind around your sexuality. So yeah, you're free to do whatever you want. Girls on girls, guys on guys, group situations. Of course, you'll be guided into that. It's not like you just have to do that on the spot.
But that sounds so interesting.
Yeah, you had me at deep house as well. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
And so maybe we can chat about TNT, the new Tantra, which is the company you work with, how it's different to other forms of Tantra. Because I know when I first heard of Tantra, I imagined a bunch of hippies sitting around in a circle meditating and definitely not playing any deep house. And it was very esoteric, I guess, and this not a very practical thing you could bring into your life. It is the way I first saw Tantra. And as I mentioned before, there's very many different types. There's a lot of variety. So what would you say the difference TNT is compared to other types of Tantra or traditional types of Tantra?
Yeah, I think you can say, it's safe to say that TNT, the new Tantra, it has a very westernized style of Tantra. So there is no Sanskrit words, there is no chanting, there is no incense, there is no... basically, the founder of the new Tantra, Alexa Vartman, looked at what works for the Western person. And what we have now is a set of very hands-on, straight to the point practices, where you work with your body, you work on each other, and you learn how to open up each other and yourself. And so it's like you said, I had the same thing. Like, I really wanted to learn Tantra because I thought it was awesome. The first few things that I tried, it did so much for me already. But I really didn't want to go to some kind of new age hippy dippy event where everybody was wearing tie-dye and smelly and lots of body hair. And but that was, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it anyway because I have to learn and then just get over myself and let's get on with it. And I was 27 at that point, and I expected to be the youngest because that's usually what happens. I've also done yoga and a lot of other things that are where sometimes you end up being the youngest person in the room. And I definitely wasn't the youngest. There were a lot of young hip people there, which really surprised me. It was quite mainstream, actually, the kind of people. And like I said, there was a DJ playing really cool techno and deep house in the corner. He's still our DJ, by the way.
Love it.
And which is infinitely better than listening to Enya or some kind of how do you call it, like this hippie music.
Yeah,
It kind of
sure.
takes you into a certain mood. I just fall asleep with that music. And the people were just kind of relaxed and normal and cool. And so the difference between this type of tantra and let's say white tantra, which is the most well-known form of tantra, where people sometimes literally would dress in white, and everything is very ritual and very soft and very, very. It's all about the heart and the connection that you have with each other, and it's very soft and very slow. And these white tantra practices, they're super nice. I think everybody should try that at least once. And they're also at the basis of what we do. The thing is, though, it's not very sexual. So you might end up with just as much clothes and in the end then as you started with.
How disappointing.
There's a lot of emphasis on the connection and on the love and on the I greet the divine in you and you greet the divine in me, and we're very, very holy and everything's very sweet. And but the thing is, in everybody there's also a very raw part, and especially when it comes to sexuality, there's usually some darker parts that also want to be seen and also want to be lived and expressed. And usually there's no room for that there. There's usually a very clear boundary. Like, for example, in a workshop, white tantra workshop, you're not allowed to actually have sex. If you want to do that, you might go to your own room and do it there, but not in front of everybody. So for me, there is still a bit of shame there, or a bit of like in this container, you're not totally free to be fully sexual, which is fine, and for what they are doing it's totally perfect. But if I do these practices after an hour or 4 or 5, I'm just so fucking horny, and I just want to get it out.
Love it.
And it's just this is what we do. So we continue where they stopped.
And in terms of white tantra, I guess just touching on the last kind of couple of techniques or principles of tantra that I guess personally I've explored and I think that our listeners will find interesting is exercises around like eye gazing or grounding. What are your views on that?
Eye gazing is both one of the most cringy things you can do, and also one of the most beautiful things you can do. So eye gazing is where you look each other in the eye. We usually use the left eye, and you just focus on that for a long time. It's like a meditation, and it gets you out of your head. It gets you to connect to the other. If you do this for a long time, at some point you might start hallucinating. Your brain just starts making up all kinds of weird images. It's really trippy. So if you sit like that for, let's say, 15-20 minutes, you will start to see some crazy shit. Just focusing on that eye.
Would you try this?
Yeah,
Kat?
I would.
Yeah, I think you'd really like it. So just like Timo said, the first time I heard of eye gazing, I was like, what is this creepy shit? I was like, I'm not going to sit there and fucking look at a girl. Like I was against it to begin with, like my first initial thought. And also when you're seeing a lot of girls casually, like if you meet a girl from Tinder, you can't sit there and be like, let's eye gaze, right? She's going to think you're a fucking creep. But the first time I took this very seriously, and I did it with a partner that I'd been seeing, it was incredible. Like we had, still to this day, one of the best nights I've had in terms of like sexuality. And it just set it up with that eye gazing. And it's hard to actually put it in words. I think it's like when you take a drug and people's like, what does it feel like? It's like, fuck, how do you describe that emotion, that feeling? And I kid you not, the first time we eye gazed, we sat there and we didn't like have a clock or anything. I don't know how long we was there for, but it just brought a whole new, honestly, like emotion or connection between me and that girl. And it just made the sex so much more intense. Like every little sensation was just different after that. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, all right, this eye gazing thing is fucking neat. But then the issue I found becomes, obviously, it's for me a contextual experience with someone that's also open to that experience. And yeah, I mean, you can't be doing it on some Tinder date, but it's if you haven't tried it, I would highly, to everyone listening, if you're there with your partner and you've been together for a while, this is, the No Coming, the 21-day challenge is something I'd recommend you try. Timo's got a link we'll give you guys to start that challenge. And the other thing that I bring from Tantra a lot is this eye gazing, this groundedness. And yeah, if you haven't tried it, give it a go. It's amazing.
I need to find a guy to do this. Do this eye gazing with.
I know, right? Yeah. But I mean, yeah, if there's someone you're seeing,
I've seen that. I think, like, I don't know, on TV or maybe somewhere on the internet. I've seen things like that, and you get like real connected to the person. Crazy. I think I've seen it on Facebook or something. Yeah, I need to try that now. Yeah. Okay, put that on our list for me to do.
Although I would like to say, you probably don't want that expectation going in, because I think, like, at first, the first 30 seconds. And Timo, I'm sure you can back me up on this. The first 30 seconds is usually giggles. Like you look at each other like, what are we doing? And all that comes up is insecurity. It's this just insecurity of like, do I feel silly? Does this person feel silly? Do I make this person feel silly? All these insecurities come to the surface. Yep. And that's the first 30 seconds. Oh, fuck, it could be 5 minutes. I don't know. But this first initial period is getting over yourselves. It's this initial period of, fuck it. Like, forget what, everyone might be thinking about us because they're not here. It's just us here. Forget about what we think about each other. Let's just be in this moment together and do this. And the laughing's normal. You're both going to laugh at each other. You're going to, your eyes are going to blink, get watery sometime, but you get past that. It's like this little hill that you get past. And once you get past that, as I said, I don't want to set up anyone with expectations, but
thinking they're going to start tripping out.
But it's amazing. I don't want to give expectations, but fuck, it's great. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Timo, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So for most people who do eye gazing for the first time in their life, it's the first time they've ever looked someone in the eye for that long. And there's this huge vulnerability in doing that. There's nowhere to hide. So that is, like you said, you have all this, your own insecurities coming up, and you have to burn through them. You can't push them away. And basically this exercise, the eye gazing exercise, this kind of attitude of totally tuning into the other person, putting all your intention into that other person, and working with whatever's coming up in you and in the moment, is what you carry on into the whole interaction after that. Mm-hmm. So even though you stop the eye gazing, you might be start to do something else or have sex. This kind of attention, this kind of intensity is what you bring into the rest of the your tantric experience and the interaction. So yeah, it's a very I would say it's a very essential exercise to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, get on the eye gazing, Kat. Get in there.
Yeah, I have to.
I'm sure you've got. I know I was interested in asking around a lot of questions around your tantric sexuality in terms of coaching and teaching, but I know, Kat, you've probably got some questions around the gigolo aspect of things, do. Right? So, what does that look like for you? Like, your typical client that comes in, what services are you offering, I guess? Like, what does that interaction or what does that service actually look like?
So, it's kind of boring because I have 3 sessions. So 2 of them is body work. It's like a short body work session, a long body work session, in the form of a massage, going really deep into the body, opening someone up. I keep my clothes on with those sessions. I'm not having sex with people. For that, they have to pay a bit more. And that's the 3rd session where you actually book me as an escort, as a gigolo. And there's a minimum of 3 hours. And usually we start with me massaging the woman, kind of opening her up, also testing her to see if she's able to put up some boundaries. Like during the body work, I'll be hurting my client a little bit, and like kind of pushing her to the edge, like, hey, are you still there? You know, is this getting too much? And I go like, yeah, well, this is about as much as I can handle. I need to hear that, because otherwise I don't know if they can actually express that. So this is kind of like I say that, like a litmus test for them being able to give consent.
That's sorry, I have to interrupt. That's super interesting. I've never thought about that concept, because I talk about consent a lot, and we talk about, you know, coming up with safe words, getting the girl to talk about what she's into, what she's not into, where the limits are. But I think you're right. Like, one of the biggest things that I'm worried about is this girl actually able to safe word or demonstrate when she's uncomfortable? And sometimes you do like that reassurance, because you try to set it up as best you can. Like, look, let me know. And sometimes even during sex, as I'm like spanking the girl or hitting her, I'll be like, do you remember what your safe word is? What does it start with? And keep it as part of sex. But I've never thought about, this is a great idea, about using actually the massage to test limits a little bit, or, you know, encourage communication and really set it up. So I love the idea of that.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's also very, very liberating to push someone to that limit, and to actually get a no and a stop and a you know, that's enough, and to see that it's totally okay. You know, someone is giving you their boundaries. They're not rejecting you. You're not you know, really injuring them. You're not really damaging them. You know, this is a bit of a calibration going on. So
yeah, I think people would be more inclined to say no if it's just a massage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they might feel bad saying, oh no, it's too much. Like, once you've already kind of got started, maybe.
I'm Timo, I'm stealing this, because there's
it's a good idea.
Yeah, like a lot of girls that have never been introduced to BDSM, and that's, you know, that's what I love. So a lot of times when it comes to severe impact play, it's as you mentioned, it's a lot easier for the girl in terms of like ego and comfort to say, oh, it's too hard of a massage, as opposed to say it's too hard of a spanking, because I feel like they want that challenge. They kind of expect it. They're worried about how I'd react if they're not enjoying it in that moment, or it's too much for them. So yeah, I think anyone introducing women to more of these extreme sexual acts, and I think impact play is the biggest one that comes to mind, is setting up a session of massage with this intensity to be able to encourage that communication is fucking amazing. So you have this so you have this massage which sets up this communication, but also a part of this is getting them into their body, right? Like that pain gets them out of their head, I assume.
Exactly. So the intensity. So again, intensity. It's all about intensity of this massage. It will get them out of their heads. It will get them into the body. And it can get quite vulnerable, you know, like if you open up that much to someone and you give that much trust, things might come up. Now, this is not therapy that I'm doing, so I'm not actively working with, you know, like these emotions and where they come from. It's just, you know, if anyone starts being very emotional in any which way, then it's totally welcomed. It's totally fine. And usually this vulnerability is a great segue into sex. So the moment that people get that vulnerable, the massage, it gets a bit more sensual, a bit more sexual. There's a pussy massage. There's some internal work. And from there, it just escalates it towards sex. And that's also where my, how to say it, I have a bit of a few steps to get there. And from that moment on, I just let go of everything, and I just let happen what wants to happen in the moment. I usually do a little prayer before I start, either together with the person if I think they might be open for it, or I just do it, you know, silently by myself, just to kind of step out of the way and you know, let something else take over, you know, universe or nature or God or whatever. Helps me to really get out of my small little me. And then, you know, before you know it, we're 3 hours into the session, and I have to stop the session. And I mean, I could give you some examples of things that I do during the session, but it's you'd have to be there to see the, you know. It's hard to really explain what goes on during a session.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be different for every person as well.
Yeah. Usually it involves a lot of slow and long sex. There's some contrast here and there, so it's not just a very slow, you know, kind of tantric style of sex. There's also some porn going on. You know, you need to switch it up a little bit, otherwise 3 hours are very long. You know, if you eye gaze for 3 hours and you just have some light cuddling, I mean, people get bored after a while, right?
And your clients, are they people that are tantric and let's say regulars or aware of this, or do you find like a lot of your clients are people that come from curiosity and say, okay, I want a tantric? Like, for example, Kat was saying, fuck, I wish I could find someone where I could do this eye gazing with and this slow, long sex. And so what type of clients do you typically have?
Yeah, she would be a typical client. Yeah, someone who just discovered Tantra and it's like, holy shit, I wanna try, but I'd rather not start doing this with a partner that hasn't even heard about it. I want someone who is experienced and who kind of takes me there. So yeah, there's a lot of people who come in like that, like, hey, I heard about Tantra and I want to try this out. Then there is a group of people that have no idea that what Tantra is. They just see like, hey, this guy's Gigolo, and they just book me, and they just don't read into it, you know. And I show up and I asked them a bit about Tantra. They're like, what?
Like, take your clothes off.
You're there saying your prayer or something, like, what's going on?
Either they just have a really great experience and they have no idea what's going on, or I just have sex with them like normal sex, kind of, as far as it's still possible for me. And you know, the thing is, I'm not gonna force my practices on other people. So you know, if I want to do this whole body work thing and they're like, hey, listen, I just want to get fucked, then I'm also fine with that. The thing is, though, it's much more interesting to do the tantric way. So I always invite people to see if they can go there with me in these 3 hours. But I'm definitely not putting it on people.
I've got 2 questions. So first question is, do you see men and women clients for this Tantra stuff, or is it just women? And second question, I imagine, because it's a lot harder, I would imagine, for a guy to like just be getting, for a girl, it's easy. Just use a bit of lube and you can just like fuck whoever, right? But for a guy, it's a bit harder to get it up sometimes. She's asking how you get hard, yeah. Yeah. I always wonder that with like gigolos, like especially if you're doing it, like if you see like 3 people a day or something like that, like, and especially like, let's just say they might not all be like your cup of tea, maybe. Like, I'm curious. Yeah, is it men and women? And then how do you get hard all the time?
So I do massage sessions on both men and women, and I touch them everywhere. So also the cock. For me, that took a bit of relaxing into it at the start, because, like I said, I thought I was straight as an arrow. So you know, then you have to kind of get over that and like think, well, this is a service to someone. You know, this is not for me to get something out of it. But I got just used to it really quickly, and I think working with men is beautiful. You can being touched by a man is totally different than being touched by a woman. A man knows exactly where he needs to touch and how much pressure, and you know, it's just, if you want to get roughed up a little bit, you're better off with a man than with a woman. I've also done gigolo sessions with men. I've experimented a lot with my sexuality the last 10 years, both with men, women, transsexuals, you name it. And I found that I cannot fully give myself to a guy. I'm just a little bit too straight for that. So I did a few paid sessions with men, and then at the end it was like, yeah, you know what, this is not for me. I think I can fully put my heart into it when I'm with a woman, and with a guy, I am just it's too much of a service. So I did 2-3 sessions, I think, with some guys, and I was like, okay, now this is that's it. So I'm no longer doing that. And then as for the basically you're asking, how do you get it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you
so you've got a girl there that isn't your type.
Yeah, or even like in these sessions when he was with guys, like like he would have had to get it up then as well.
Yeah, so that's where the tantric practice comes in, because this is what you also practice in Tantra. It's to you work with your own sexual energy, and not so much with something outside of yourself. So basically I just get horny on my own horniness.
Yeah, I can imagine
because
if you haven't come in
so much
ages.
of it. There's just so much of it. So I never have a problem with that, and I always find something in the other person that attracts me. Even though someone is not my type, it's never a big problem. If you are that horny, you kind of have this, this feeling of like yeah, of course I can fuck you. I'm just so horny, so let's just do it. So that's not a problem, and I don't have 3 clients a day, by the way. It's more like 3 clients a week. So that's that also makes it a bit easier, just put a day in between each client, or sometimes even a week. Yeah.
Amazing. So questions I have now, wrapping up a little bit, but the people that are listening to this podcast who came into this with no idea about Tantra, and I don't know about you, Kat, but I think you're a little bit more interested in it now, I would say.
I am.
Yeah. So I think people are hearing about, okay, being able to last longer, being able to get hard when you want to get hard, having more energy, lifting more at the gym, girls having deeper orgasms potentially. There's all these amazing benefits to Tantra, which, by the way, I couldn't agree with more, right? For me, I would typically describe myself as someone that, if you were going to use a category, I'd say more like BDSM based, or the more kinks around that. But bringing elements of Tantra into my sex life has completely changed it and brought new amounts of pleasure into it for both me and the girl. So for people watching this that want to get into Tantra, or maybe don't even want to fully get into Tantra, but want to take advantage of some of the ideals or mindsets around it, where should they start? What should they do?
Definitely do the 21-day challenge. Mm-hmm. That's the start of all of it. So for 21 days, don't ejaculate, but have sex every day. And for the women, don't come on your clit, but have sex every day, either with yourself or with a partner. Just doing this will for most people, transform their sex life completely. That's what it did for me, and for a lot of people I've been talking to. That's one. And another thing that I can't stress enough, and I see this everywhere where people are having non-tantric sex, slow down. Most, especially the guys, but also a lot of the women, they are just so fucking fast in everything they do. They go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and everything goes in this tempo. It's like like the Energizer Bunny, just going nuts on the. And there's nothing wrong with fast sex. It's just that it also needs to be. There needs to be a bit of a contrast there. So you also need to slow down every now and then and really feel into the other person. You cannot feel your own body, and you cannot feel the other people if you are going too fast. So to really slow down all your movements, all your interactions, and this is a huge challenge at first, because especially if you're used to sex like this, like really fast, and you're used to watching a lot of porn, you will probably need the friction to be able to maintain an erection. So it is a bit of practice, but it will definitely enhance the quality of your lovemaking if you try to slow down. And with slowing down, I mean like more than slow down by more than half, or you know, go back to 20% of the speed that you're currently doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad you specify like 20%, because oftentimes I'll tell students, even with massage, right? In our workshops, they'll be massaging someone. I'm like, all right, slow down. And they slow down by 5%, 10%. And I feel like when you're in that moment and your heart is racing and you're excited, or maybe you're nervous, you do have a distortion of time. So everything does feel like it's a normal pace. It's the same. Say you're going to go public speak and you're in front of a crowd. You often speak a lot quicker than you think you are. And so I'm glad you said 20%, right? It's like really slow down more than you think you have to. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. It will completely change the way you have sex. It will change the way you live your life. And I think it's super powerful. So Timo, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I will put in the link in the description if anyone wants to join one of Timo's workshops or start the 21-day challenge, anything like that. I'll put all the links up there for them.
Cool.
I'm so interested now.
Yeah, I'm so interested.
I know. I might have to fucking hire someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Some Tantra master.
Do you know anyone in Sydney?
Yeah, send someone over here.
Well, happy days. Kat was curious about because you teach gigolos as well, right? Or am I wrong in that understanding? Yeah. What did you want to ask?
Yeah. Is it like a classroom? In the movie, I'm going back to this movie.
She loves the gigolo.
No, you can you both watch this movie? So I'm not just aimlessly referencing this movie at no one's seen. Yeah, in the movie, it's like an actual classroom, like a school almost, and they bring a girl in, and the girl and the teacher's like at the front, and there's like students like there with the book, and the guy's like doing these things to this girl, like literally like in front of this like class of like
So is your gigolo school the same as the movie?
Yeah, is it like that?
Well, because
I mean, the movie's based in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So it's like the same.
Really? I have to see that movie.
You have to, yeah.
We'll watch it together.
So that's why I'm thinking it must be like maybe that movie is based on real shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is a bit like that. So
see, I do
there
it.
You go.
Yeah. So we don't bring in one girl. We, let's say. So we have two gigolo trainings. One of them is the actual gigolo training that will get you certified to work for the new Tantra, which is a very fucking tough course.
Do you have to be certified here to do that, or is this like an industry certification?
It's just us giving our seal of approval. Right. Yeah, so you get to be on our website, and basically we do quality control. We make sure that if a girl starts complaining about you, that we kick you out, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then we noticed that we set up this school. We had like just 8 guys in there. We cherry picked them, like just the best guys from our courses. Like, hey, this dude is really good. He gets all the women. This guy, he really knows what he's doing. He's an amazing body worker. Let's put them all together. And then we got about 60 or 70 or so guys writing to us like, I want to become a gigolo. Where do I sign
I
up?
can imagine.
Yeah. Now the problem is these guys were not gigolo material.
Yeah, they just want to fuck girls.
A bit too old. They're out of shape, or just a bit weird energy, or people who are totally fine. Totally great guys, but not gigolo material. So then we decided to make a second course called Gigolo Skills. So you go in there, you learn. So there's 3 gigolos in there: Diesel, Hunk, and me. We have course names, if you were wondering about the names. And we basically teach these guys, okay, so this is what we have to do to be able to be a gigolo. And then we bring in women. So these guys are sitting there, 20 of them or something like that. We bring in 20 women, and these women are really excited to be practiced on. They basically they get to practice all the things we tell them to on these women for 3 days, and then the women are constantly rating them. So after each interaction, the women get a form, and they have to write down a rating for each, for empathy, for how good was he with his hands, how was oral, was he reassuring, Did he properly close off the session? Did he explain everything, properly, etc., etc.? So
it's like American Idol for sex.
I love this.
It's perfect. It's
yeah.
gold.
Oh my god, I love that. They have to. I love the
super,
form.
Yeah.
And
it's super confronting. These guys, they get fucking
roasted.
Yeah, they get roasted.
Oh, all right. So would most not make it through?
Yeah. So of the guys that we cherry picked, of the 8 guys, 2 guys actually made it. They're now my colleagues. The other 5, they some of them failed on the physical test. We have a physical test as well.
What's the physical test?
To. So we, CrossFit.
Interesting.
There's one workout in CrossFit called Cindy, and Cindy's a bitch, and it's basically 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats for as many rounds as possible in 20 minutes.
Would you be able to do that? You can do a pull-up?
You need to get a certain number of rounds.
So Mark straight off the bat would have failed that.
Hey, I can do a pull-up, all right? Leave me alone.
So basically we said like, hey, half a year in advance, we told them like, hey, you're gonna do this workshop. You need to be able to do 12 rounds of Cindy in 20 minutes, and otherwise you won't be fit enough to. I mean, people are paying a shit ton of money for you, and you need to be more stronger and more fit than her husband. Or than her, her other lovers.
I get that. I work out every day as well. Yeah. Because sometimes especially clients that book me for hours, sometimes
you're like,
it's
fucking workout.
No, 100%. Sometimes it's a marathon. And especially like when you're giving head as well. I mean, this is just from a girl's point of view. Sometimes I'm literally planking for an hour. If I and so I practice planking every day for as long as I can at the gym, because that is what I'm doing.
Just
half of my days I'm fucking planking.
Awesome.
So I'm literally at the gym, and I'm that weird girl that's literally just holding a plank for like forever. If you see a girl that's holding a plank at the gym for a very long time,
she's good in bed. Look out for it.
Yeah. So no, I definitely get that.
I'd love you to send me this form of feedback, because we always talk about with our students about getting feedback from girls. I think it'd be hilarious if you just pulled out a form after sex and was like, yo, here's a pen.
Can you send me one of these forms?
Here's a pen, let's rate. How did I go? That's awesome. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, and it works really well. I mean, these guys, they a lot of them actually genuinely want to become a gigolo when they come into the course. And at the end of the course, only 1 or 2 of them says like, I'm still interested. And the rest is like, oh my god, I cannot do this. It's too much. Too much rejection, too much shit going on. I can't handle it.
And I think that's the thing, that the number one thing that makes you good in bed, I think, is dealing with feedback. I really believe that. And so having guys that can actually improve over time, they need to be able to receive that feedback. So I think that's perfect. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. We'll need to get you on another time. I'm sure Kat's got a lot more questions. So I appreciate that once again, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, have sleep tight. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks again.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.